So last night, Madison Square Garden, a place who famously had a chance to draft Steph Curry, didn't, and Steph Curry has been a two-time MVP, a three-time NBA champion, and last night he broke the all-time three-point mark, and obviously adding insult to injury as the Knicks continue to struggle this season. First, here's the call on TNT.
Here's Curry for the record. It's good! There it is! Stephen Curry! The all-time three-point king in the NBA!
This is the call on 95.7 The Game.
Wiggins comes across, working on Fournier. Up top to Curry. Quick release and splash! There it is! The best shooter the game has ever seen has cemented his legacy. No one has made more threes than Stephen Curry. And when you consider he has many more years in his career, he might be setting a record that may never be broken. Draymond Green, Stephen Curry hugged down the floor. An intentional foul by the Warriors. They're going to stop the game, and the ball will go to number 30.
It's an interesting question, a conundrum, really. Like, will anybody reach that number? Here's Steph Curry, his thoughts afterwards.
I think everybody talks about what the greatest shooter ever and all that conversation, and my respect for Reggie and Ray, guys who set the bar for what it meant to be a sharpshooter, to have the longevity as well. And for me, I've tried to own that in my journey in terms of range, volume, efficiency, all those things go into it. So I pride myself on shooting a high percentage. I pride myself on allowing that to help us win games. And now I can pride myself on the longevity of getting to that number that Ray set and hopefully pushing it to a number that nobody can reach. We'll see what happens, but that's something that the balance of volume and efficiency for me is the standard that I wanted to set. I never want to call myself the greatest shooter until I got this record, so I'm comfortable saying that now.
Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. Yeah, I mean, look, let's just be super honest and fair. Like, pick anyone else who, and I love that, like, Ray Allen has become, well, he was the greatest shooter of all time. I don't know if Ray Allen actually was the greatest three-point shooter of all time. Like, we're just being totally honest. Right? Ray Allen was a great player, and then as his career kind of changed and he wasn't the incredible scorer that he was previously, he became a great spot-up jump shooter. Right? His volume increased more and more and more, and that became kind of who he was. People forget early in his career, even the midpoint of his career, like Ray Allen averaged 26 a game. And then when he went to Boston, he kind of became just a shooter, and with Miami, just a shooter later on in his career. But if you look at the volume of threes, remember, Ray Allen at his absolute peak in terms of three-point attempts per game for a year, he was shooting 8.5 a game. 8.5. Okay, so now go back and look at what Chris Mullin, the most three-pointers he took per game were 3.5. So, yeah, I mean, guys are taking so many more threes now per game. And Steph Curry, obviously, when you look at the numbers there, he's averaging taking 13.5 threes per game. That's the most in his career. Since 2015, 11, 10, 10, 11.7, 10, 12.7 last year, and 13.4. Of course he's going to make more threes than anybody else. He's, one, an incredible shooter that shoots as high or higher percentage than anybody else, and two, he shoots more of them than anybody has ever shot. Like, we're sitting here, and I'll forever be criticized because I love watching Steph Curry play in college. I thought his ceiling was Jeff Hornacek. That's what I thought. Thought he was Jeff Hornacek, a very good passer who could play on the ball, but mostly off the ball, which frankly he plays a lot of off the ball. It's where he's more dangerous is off the basketball, but he plays with the basketball in his hands a ton too. And a guy who's an unbelievable shooter, shot maker. I had no idea the volume, efficiency, and depth of threes that he could take. But when he came in the league in 2009. Like, go back and look at what the NBA looked like in 2008 and 2009. Just go and look. And you will be blown away by how different it looks then as opposed to now. That's, people forever, well, you missed. Yeah, I didn't know he would be a two-time MVP, a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, and arguably the greatest shooter of all time. Dwayne Wade led the league in scoring. Hey, Dwight Howard was an MVP candidate. Shaq was in the league. Kobe was in the league. Like, there just weren't guys. Russell Westbrook was just breaking in to the tops of the league. But the guys who were the best of the best of the best, they didn't look like Steph Curry. They didn't shoot as many threes as Steph Curry. They weren't those same guys. I mean, it couldn't be more obvious on how the league has changed. Go and watch an NBA game now. Has Steph changed it? Yes. Has analytics changed it? Yes. Those two things have dramatically changed how the game is played. And what I believe I was working on, because Chris Paul led an assist per game. Derrick Rose was Rookie of the Year. LeBron was the MVP. The Lakers won the championship. This is all right before Steph Curry came into the league. There just weren't guys that were 6'2" and change, 6'3", 175 pounds, dominating the league, shooting catch and shoot or off the dribble threes from 35, 40 feet and making them with the volume that he made them. They just didn't exist. And just like Del Curry said, I had no idea, his own dad, the Warriors had no idea. They offered him in a trade to the Milwaukee Bucks. He said, Monte Ellis or Steph Curry, either one you want for Andrew Bogut. The Bucks also didn't know they took Monte Ellis. So he surprised everybody because he's improved his game, he's improved his body, the NBA game has evolved, and he's helped lead some of that evolution. I have no idea if his record's going to be broken because it's one thing to shoot that sort of volume. It's another thing to shoot that sort of volume for this many years means you have to be a great player to get that many opportunities and to get them off. And I don't think the attempts will go down a ton when Clay gets back, and I don't think he's anywhere near the end of his career. Yes, John Ramos, go ahead.
I don't think you as a former college basketball player and like you said tried to get into the NBA. The amount of practice, right? Even you, I'm sure you practiced a lot on your shot, your jump shot, whatever, and sometimes it just didn't go in. The amount of practice that you'd have to take, and even with the amount of practice, Steph Curry, he still just makes shots. It's just him, right? I mean, a guy can practice for 13 hours out there on the court every day, and he may not make the same volume of shots that Steph Curry makes, correct? Or do you think that if you do practice overly crazy that you can get to that point of making three-pointers just whenever you feel like it? Because I feel like that's what he does. Like, he just shoots it, and it's just so natural to him that the ball just automatically just going to go in. But I know he's practiced a lot too. It's not just.
I think it's more than just practice. I think it's also a mentality. There's a level of self-confidence. There's how he's built his body because forever, the stronger you get, the more it's going to hurt your shot. He's clearly built his body since college, and it hasn't hurt his shot. But I mean, he puts a lot of work. He obviously puts a lot of work into it. His form is perfection. He's got great form off the. He can shoot it quickly without really gathering it off the catch and off the dribble. And he's got unbelievable confidence. I think it's all of those things combined. All those things combined. But it's pretty special to watch. And he's a guy who's generally beloved because of how he's treated people everywhere he's been.
Yeah, that's definitely, you're right. I mean, the guy, everybody loves him. I mean, kids want his number. If you ask kids around who's your favorite player, they all say Steph Curry. I mean, that's another big win too, right?
He also has fun playing. Right? There also is an element to it where he has fun playing. Like they're celebrating and having a good time playing. Here's Charles Barkley summing it all the way up.
This record ain't never going to be broken.
Cal Ripken's consecutive.
Cal Ripken. Because this guy got at least another 5 years at his peak. And he going to set a record that ain't nobody ever going to come to again. And it's beautiful to watch.
Dan Byer, you want to hop in on this conversation?
Yeah, and I'm glad that you played the soundbite because I completely disagree. I don't think that we can say that no player is going to do that, especially because, to your point, there was a point in Steph Curry's career where this wasn't even a thing. So that's how new this is to the league, and that's how new it is. And I thought that actually we'd maybe get a little better sense of what Steph's numbers really mean if Klay Thompson's numbers were maybe projected out after him not missing the last 2 seasons, because they're playing in the same system, they're playing a very similar game, and Klay's numbers would have been better if he would have at least been around for the last 2 years. So that would have been. It's just, to me, it's way too early to sit there and say, yeah, we'll never see this. I think Steph's going to be the guy, and I think he has been the guy that is now maybe, has players develop like this now. So kids who are 14 and 15 are going to try to mold their game into Steph Curry. Whether they'll ever be similar to Steph Curry is a completely different story, but I compared it to the Tiger Woods scenario where there will never ever be another Tiger Woods, just for how great he was, what he meant to society, culturally, and all of that. However, when you look at the PGA Tour now and you look at all of the young players where 95% of those guys were fueled by Tiger Woods. And I think that's what you could see with Steph Curry. So it's just way too early to say that, yeah, this will never be touched.
Yeah, I mean, look, Trae Young obviously doesn't shoot the same percentage, and he hasn't played in the same number of games yet. But he's going to get him up his entire career. We'll see how long he plays and how effective he is. And he's not the last of them, right? He's the first of the Steph clones, if you will.
And it's not meant to be disrespectful to Steph Curry, as you're actually praising him that he has developed a whole new generation of basketball players that never existed before.
And now the difference between this and Tiger and why it's possible with other people is because only one guy can win a golf tournament. Right?
Sure.
Whereas plenty of NBA players can get a high volume of 3-point shots up.
Yes.
Plenty of them.
And Jack's accomplishments, like you could compare to Tiger, but what Tiger meant to golf and the sport is just completely, on another stratosphere.